We don't expect Trustee Kadia to join.
No, sir.
So we will not have a board member attending by means of other than physical presence, and Kristen Simpson will not be joining. So, communications and petitions and public comment.
We have no communications, petitions, or public comments.
Okay, recognition of visitors.
No recognition of visitors this evening.
Review and no action to vote on, John, of minutes for the Committee of the Whole, June 10th, 2025.
May I comment?
Sure.
I found the minutes to be lacking some important points, and I will put them in writing and send them to the President's office.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Any other comments on the minutes from the Committee of the Whole, June 10th? Hearing none. General presentation.
Briefly, I just want to, Huatari, Carly started on Monday. She is our assistant to the president, and we welcome her to the team. And when you get a chance, please be sure to introduce yourself. Carly has a K-12 background, and most recently, she was serving as an adjunct faculty member for under our adult education GED program. So, welcome, Carly.
And Carly's replacing.
Carly's last day was June 30th, and Araceli decided to come back to RVC because she's pursuing her nursing degree.
I love that for her.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Any other general, well, first of all, I didn't want to cut that clapping short, so thank you very much. Any other general presentations?
No, sir.
Okay. Any other new people to introduce us? Okay. All right. Teaching, learning, and communication discussion, board liaison, Trustee Goldsmith.
I think VP Snyder is going to speak.
Good evening. There is an update to the enrollment report that's in your packet. I don't want to spend any time on summer because we're at a point where things aren't changing. But since the packet was released as of today, fall is 5% ahead of last year, 80% to budget, and 77% to the stretch goal. If semesters combined, so our year-to-date for the entire fiscal year, we're 7% ahead of last year, 86% to budget, and 82% to our stretch goal. Are there any questions?
How do you think it'll finish?
I have every reason to think that we'll finish on target unless something very strange happened.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, trustees.
Good evening.
This evening, I'd like to introduce to you the Human Services Generalist Certificate. For the past year, we have been discussing the rebooting of our Human Services program, with this program being one of the programs that we will be housing in our new downtown west location. This certificate is the first credential to be presented as part of that program for increased social work and human services in our region. This was demonstrated through several advisory committee meetings that we have held with partners such as the Family Peace Center, RAMP, Remedies, and the Liam Foundation. Also of entry-level employment with an anticipated 4.7 growth in the upcoming years. Courses will included in this certificate touch on general topics such as group processes, working with families and children, ethical and legal issues, crisis intervention, addictions, and advocacy. It is important to note that this certificate is the first of a series of stackable certificates that will roll into an Associates of Applied Science and Human Services. Students completing the degree are able to transfer seamlessly to University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign to complete the bachelor's degree in social work virtually. They are also able to transfer over to Rockford University. I did want to note that these opportunities for the bachelor's are online, so they would not need to relocate. Thank you for your consideration. Yes, sir?
Are they employable after they get their associate degree?
Yes, they are.
They don't have to go on.
They do not have to go on. We are part of the grant called the SWAT grant, the Social Work Opportunities track so that they are able to go on after they have obtained employment. And that is just one of the parts of the Human Services program that we are working on.
And also, where will these courses be taught?
They will be taught online and downtown West.
Glad you said downtown West.
Oh, yes.
Trustee Nelson.
And so what we're doing is we will vote at the next meeting to apply to the ICCB for accreditation. Do I get that right?
Yeah, for approval, so that they can approve our program, yes.
Okay.
Next, I would like to move on to, we have worked with Studer Education on the proposal for continued work. And it's important to note that in this version, we have added 2 board retreats for continued collaboration and alignment with the board as per the request of our board chair, as higher levels of accountability with the recommendation of our attorneys.
I don't remember specifically asking for board retreats, but it's always a good idea. I'd just like to state for the fellow trustees, Studer's offering is largely 3 basic services, coaching and training, such as what's being presented, strategic planning assistance, and then surveys. And in the survey of the cabinet, the surveys and the coaching and training were all highly touted. And President Spearman, not to speak for him, but in our discussions, has highly touted all 3 of those functions from Studer.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And this will be on we've already presented this once, maybe twice, and it'll be on the agenda at the end of the month for a final vote on a 2-year contract with what?
2 1-year.
1-year extension. Bob.
Last time, I understand it right, the only change in this proposal is the 2 board retreats. Is that the only change from what we saw last time?
May I ask Dr. Spearman?
Those are the main 2 changes. Per Attorney Gardner, we've increased accountability with Studer with one of their some language, but overall, yes, everything is the same except for they added 2 board retreats. More so, not at the request, but based on
Discussion.
our discussions. They added 2 retreats for the board, up to, and the board, if we move forward, the board can decide if they want to take advantage of it.
What's the vision for a retreat? How many hours is that going to be?
Well, that would depend on you. Typically, retreats are either half day or full day. Once they're here, they can do that. We've done K-20 collaborative events with Studer Education where we work with the superintendents, and they've done full day collaborations or retreats, if you want to call them that. So we expect it to be a full day retreat. But as far as the topic itself, if we go down this path, this is where Studer Education will be meeting with the chair and with the board, however that process rolls out itself, to determine what those the topics would be for the retreat.
The goal was to increase communication and get some also feedback and almost like hands-on on what Studer's actually
No, I
doing.
understand the need for the feedback. My only concern would be a whole day to, what they're gonna instruct us, or are we gonna just ask questions about how it's going? And I mean, to me, that's all I need.
Did you want to go back to the originally proposed monthly or quarterly type of check-ins?
Yeah.
You want to go? Would you
Something like
prefer
that would be, for me anyway, adequate.
Mr. Chairman?
Go ahead.
I would agree with Bob. I'd have to say if I'm going to be invited to request and requested to spend a whole day with Studer, you can count me out. But I have another question. Before I got to there's this thing in here. Did I miss that?
The forecasting model that that they use job growth?
Yeah, that was just provided as labor market data for the Human Services Generalist Certificate.
Okay, so, but did we hire them to do this, or how did we get this report?
Lightcast is an economic modeling software that we use. It comes out of actually institutional research. We use that when we look at all labor market information for various programs at the college. We wanted to make sure we provided you all of the information we'll be providing to ICCB when we ask for their approval on the certificate for the Human Services Generalist Certificate.
So did we, I'm just curious, did we, this particular software to come up with this data
We'll defer to Heather.
and report?
We pay an annual subscription, which is approved as part of, well, it's actually under 25,000. So it had in the past been approved by the Board of Trustees annually as a software subscription, and we've been using it for about 10 years now. Formerly, it was EMSI. I also use it for the annual board retreat when we present
Right.
labor market information.
Okay.
Yeah, I remember that. You project a job growth, and that's the basis that you use, is like
That's
what?
correct.
So what I would suggest then, maybe not the retreat, but we'll go back to a modified version of what was in the original agreement with a quarterly check-in with me or whoever was the chair at the time, and Studer, with the chair taking questions from the board to Studer and just communicating. And again, we're not going to ask any information about any individual identifiable coaching, training, or anything else. We don't know. It's kind of like HIPAA health stuff to me. I don't want to know anything about the details like that. And go forward with that. And I would say for whenever the 3 occur, that's okay, but there should be one in the December timeframe in advance of our retreat when we have goal setting and reviews, right? So the timing, so like in the November timeframe, make sure one of the 4 calls happens with the chair in that timeframe with Studer, just so we can kind of tie it in advance of any goal setting with you and your team in January.
So if approved,
Yeah.
we will have Studer maybe meet with
Yeah.
you as board chair maybe in August to
Right.
establish expectations and moving
That's as soon
forward.
as the contract's going to go through.
Right. And so we can do that, and then in November, you can meet again to discuss is what you're saying.
Right.
All right, and that works for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, not to have a private conversation. You're all sitting in on it, but I'm just thinking that would work out best, and it's not too onerous on them, and I don't know what we get from monthly. Will that work for the 2 trustees? Or Bob, you got a question?
Yes, what I would like to see them report on is what did they do? I do not want to see some glossy presentation that skims the data that we're getting already from the cabinet. I want to know, what did they do to affect a change? That's what I want to know.
And I would ask respectfully that we present that question to President Spearman in a review of his goals and the like, and he could share that with them since he's our direct report in this guy. Will that work for you?
That's fine.
Okay. And John?
I didn't understand one word you said. I agree with Bob, and I guess I look forward to examining this issue in closed session, but I would have to be convinced that this isn't an unnecessary contract. Thank you.
Okay. And I didn't understand that either. So we'll talk about that. All right. Any other questions on the Studer agreement? All right.
Thank you very much.
I'm going to present to you some updates for the strategic plan specifically related to the employee culture survey. Some of this is success indicators, so I'm going to provide a little bit of background and then focus on those successes that we've seen. So the employee culture survey has been administered twice, once in the fall of 21 and once in the fall of 23. Between those 2 years, and this is data that was presented before but also is in your packet, we saw improvements in every category that we surveyed, but we still noticed that communication was an area we could focus on for improvement. And so Cabinet developed 3 action items for this most recent year to try to improve communication across campus. And those action items were to stream both the committee of the whole and the regular board meetings, to provide regular leadership updates, and to visit our various locations there so the employees at those locations could have opportunity to interact with us. We have some initial indicators of success from those strategies. First, for the streaming of the board meetings, since January, we average 97 views per meeting, and that's not necessarily during the meeting, but people can go to our YouTube channel after the fact as well. With our weekly email regular board meeting, that includes all of the action items that the board took, your trustee comments, the president's comments, team up, and so that email comes from the president's office, and there's a link to the leadership page of our internal employees. And that email goes out on that day. We see a spike in visits to that particular page, so we know that our employees are following that link and looking at our updates. And anecdotally, we've heard appreciation for that. It also seems, again, it's hard to measure on this one, but people seem to be pleased that we visit various locations and have opportunity to have lunch. We'll have a meeting there, but then we'll have lunch with the employees at that site, and also an opportunity for them to ask us all questions or just interact with us on a casual basis, whatever they prefer. And what we're hoping to see then when we re-administer the survey this fall, 2025, after Development Day, is an increase in our scores on the communication area. So we'll report those results back to the board, typically at their board retreat. Are there any questions?
Hi. As an IT person, I'm a kind of a system of records focused type of person. You have one master record and all the data comes from that. In your summary of the meeting and the reports that you all give that you send out, why don't you just send them the meeting?
It's more concise than the minutes are. So it's much shorter, like a one-page read with some pictures. Employees certainly could go back and read the minutes and look at all the board packets, but if they just want to spend a few minutes reading the summary, they get that information.
There's a link. Link within there.
It's a link within the email that goes to the internet page, yes.
So somebody's interpreting the minutes.
Well, not interpreting, it's using the language from the minutes and saying, look, this is where we're at, this is where we're at, this is where we're at, and then there's a link to it so you can read the full minutes yourself.
Right, so there's a bullet point list. This is what was approved. This is what wasn't approved for the board action. And then all of our leadership updates are written and then reproduced in that. And then notes are taken, like Dr. Spearman's and the trustees' comments, and put into that communication.
I'll get to you, Jen. I'm just thinking if I have a follow-up
Sure.
on it. No, not right now. Okay, John. And then,
I like the idea of going to other locations. And I know the board has once a year board meeting at the ATC. Will there be plans to hold a board meeting downtown once a year? And ask,
Airport.
At the airport is right. Because I think it's important for the board to be out and about too. And this way here, by having at least once a year at the other locations, it gives those locations a feeling of being part of us too.
It's First of all, we plan to, like we do annually regarding the ATC, we'll still have the committee of the whole in October at the ATC, like we try to do now annually because of Manufacturing Month. As far as the downtown campus, we will have the appropriate space that we would be able to do that downtown, so that's not a problem. We'll just identify the best month to do that in, and as a board, if you decide you want to do that annually,
I think so. I think we should do it annually.
You just say in the word, and we'll make sure that that's an annual committee of the whole meeting or regular board meeting. You have to decide which one you want for that. Regarding the aviation, that's a little, we've tried to do that. That's a little more difficult because the classrooms are a little smaller. You can congest it. They're not going to use, a lot of times they still, aviation have classes basically, 7:30 to about 10 o'clock at night? Yeah, so it's hard to do it actually in the hangar itself, but we may be able to do it in one of the classroom, but we'll be extremely congested if we do it in the aviation space. We just don't have a conference room space like that that's comfortable. But we can figure it out if you really want to have it there.
I think we should. I think downtown, the board meeting right after the ribbon cutting should be the first meeting downtown. As soon as we open the campus up, the first board meeting should be downtown.
The next available, right? I mean,
The next
right after
available.
Right after we open it up.
Okay.
John?
Do I understand what you said about sending these summaries out? They're already being sent, or they have been sent?
Yes, they've been sent for several months.
Okay, can I have, say, the last 6 months of those?
I believe, yes, you can, but I also believe that if you have an RVC email account, I'm looking for confirmation, you would receive those.
Well, I haven't received them, and
Okay.
I don't think
You
he
don't
has
have an
one. He doesn't
RBC
have
email
one.
account? no.
Okay, so if you have your Rock Valley College email, you would, but otherwise we can make a
I
PDF or
can't get them
something.
either.
okay, thank you.
But I can't go into it because
You
I don't
can't
have
click on the link, because,
Yeah, I
Okay.
get every week or whatever it is, I get that thing, but I can't go in if it says, go here, I can't go in
Okay.
there.
No, I haven't looked for it. Might be going to spam. All my stuff in your email account's going to my spam. I'll take it up with your new IT director.
we'll figure out a way.
I'm not too worried about it. I'm more worried about moving the meeting around just to make us look good. In consideration of staff, cabinet, other staff, IT staff, I'd be against moving them. I like the one at the ATC, maybe one special one where to make it a regular thing to bounce the meeting around. Unless we come up with a trailer, we can have everything in, and do it on the tech bus. Hey. I just trying to be considerate of your time and your effort and everything like that. So, because I know if I was the IT person, I'd say, no thanks. I'm staying home, calling in sick that day. And given the state laws, you can't really challenge that day. So, any other questions on that one? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heather.
Good evening, trustees. This agreement, the Emergency Medical Technician MOU, was brought last year, and the board collectively approved it. This year, we are bringing this agreement to you again and ask for a 2-year renewal in this instance. The arrangement involves 3 entities: Rock Valley College, OSF, and Kishwaukee Education Consortium. I will share with you a synopsis of what each party's role and responsibilities are, so there's no need to go through every single detail because you have you. Students come in Ogle and DeKalb counties, and the classes for this certificate will be held at the Kishwaukee Education Consortium in Malta, Illinois. So for context, the Kishwaukee Education Consortium is a cooperative effort among 5 school districts in DeKalb and Ogle counties in Illinois. So these counties are DeKalb, Genoa, Kingston, Hiawatha, Rochelle, and Sycamore. So the Kishwaukee Education Consortium provides alternative and career and technical education programs for high school students. So the purpose or the genesis of the Kishwaukee Education Consortium is that it was formed to address the need for specialized career training and advanced academic programs that individual school districts might not be able to offer on their own due to resource limitations. So hence the reason why they reached across the aisle and asked us, because in those 5 school districts, they want the emergency medical technician certificate, but they're not able to offer it. So they reached across the aisle to us. This is therefore unsurprising that Kishwaukee Education Consortium reached out to RVC as they wanted the students in DeKalb and Ogle counties to have access to the EMT certificate offered by Rock Valley College. The consortium, as mentioned earlier, provides a vehicle to get students and districts access to programs and initiatives where there are resource limitations within their midst. So the 2025-2027 EMT MOU is between Kishwaukee Education Consortium, OSF, and RVC. This dual and articulated credit initiative is designed to provide qualified high school students with the opportunity to enroll in an EMT dual credit class at the Kishwaukee Education Consortium, which would lead to advanced standing for certificates and degree opportunities at Rock Valley College. So Rock Valley College offers this EMT certificate, which is 9 credits. This is approved by the Illinois Department of Public Health and the U.S. Department of Transportation. This is one of 3 certificates we offer in the Fire Sciences program. So the other 2 are the Basic Operations Firefighter and the EMT2 as well. So students could pursue any one of these 3. They could also pursue the Associates of Applied Science degree in Fire Science. And when they have finished this, we have a transfer agreement with the Southern Illinois University of Carbondale, SIU, to pursue a Bachelor of Science in Public Safety Management. So all of this is in keeping with what we do with our career technical education programs. We offer students a dual. First stream is for them to continue along their journey to get a certificate, get an associate's degree, and move on to a bachelor's degree if they so desire. Or if they obtain their certificate or they obtain their degree, they are allowed to enter the world of work. So they have that option too as well. So now I will walk and talk about each party's role in this tripartite agreement. So the first one I'll talk about is what is the role of the Kishwaukee Education Consortium. So they are responsible for recruiting students for this program. So they recruit students from DeKalb and Ogle counties. They work in conjunction with the Early College Office, which falls under me, and they work with the dual credit coordinators in those departments to make sure that the students have the requisite requirements to enter into the program. So any concerns that they have and so forth, our office is the guardrail to make sure that those things are conformed with and so forth. They also take care of the enrollment forms and they pass those forms along to us too as well. They are also responsible for ensuring that students have the proper orientation, they have all the inoculations, and they take care of all those operational items in conjunction with the dual credit early college office. So they do what all colleges who have dual credit classes with us, all high schools, have classes with us. They perform that function and work in conjunction with our dual credit office to get that done. So the role of OSF, St. Anthony Medical Center, they are responsible for finding a qualified instructor. They are responsible for that. And what we do is, Dr. Amanda Smith is the queen of compliance. So like with all our dual credit instructors who teach college classes for us, we have to make sure that the instructors are fully qualified, so they make sure that they have the proper licensure according to the Department of Public Health. We also make sure that they have the correct certification and stuff that conforms and complies with the Illinois State Board of Education, the Illinois Community College Board, and the Higher Learning Commission. The instructor is also responsible for taking care of the curriculum, all right? So as the experts, as the subject matter experts, they take care of that. And the last party, of course, Rock Valley College, we are the educational institution. we are responsible for making sure that all the compliance takes place to make sure that the students get their credit after taking the courses. We provide all the transcripts too as well. And as I mentioned before, we make sure that the instructors have all the requisite qualifications and that they are in compliance too as well. So that in a nutshell, and there's more details, and it's itemized in the MOU for your perusal, which I'm sure all of you did and you looked through. So all I will say now is that in concluding, my ask this afternoon is for the Board of Trustees to approve the 2025 to 2027 Emergency Medical Technician MOU between Kishwaukee Education Consortium, OSF, St. Anthony Medical Center, and Rock Valley College. Yes.
Oh, you're not recognized yet. All right. So we're not hiring the staff, but we're responsible for confirming their educational background?
Yes, so because they are the ones, they are the subject matter experts, so they will help us locate a qualified person in the field to teach, because this is a specialized area. And just as we do for all our early college instructors, once the high schools identify an instructor to teach, they send the documentation to us. It passes through the office under me, which is the early college office, and then it ends up on Dr. Smith's desk for final vetting.
They do the
And
class.
if we don't like it,
Well, it's not if we like it, it's if they don't conform, we have to kick it back. Yeah.
and who sets the guidelines for the conform? We do? Somebody else does?
For which form?
Okay, well, you were saying if it doesn't conform, it would
Well,
be...
right, it has to conform to ICCB, it has to conform to the Illinois State Education Department, all the rules that are required for somebody to be deemed a qualified instructor. We have a protocol to follow.
But we don't have a say in the final candidate.
How, I don't understand.
I want an answer on the... We do or don't have a say on the final candidate for the training?
If they qualify,
Yeah.
we can't say no. That's what he's asking.
Right, correct, that's what
Yeah,
I'm saying.
I want
yes.
them to say that. though.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
as long as they
We
meet the
don't mind.
minimum qualifications,
Patients, yep.
then we have to accept
You
them.
have to accept them, yep. Yes.
Why?
Yeah, John. John?
Okay. I'm just curious, why do we have to accept them? Because that's the purpose of this agreement?
This refers back to the Dual Credit Quality Act law. So the law says that there are minimum qualifications that as long as the instructor meets those minimum qualifications and we have vetted them, then they have to be allowed to teach the class. Now, let me say that there are evaluations and there are things that we do to make sure that not only are they meeting the minimum qualifications to teach, but that the course is the same or comparable to the course that we offer. So there's like 3 or 4 steps to make sure that what is being offered in the schools is equivalent to what we are offering here.
Anything else?
Yes. In the next agreement, I see there's, with Highland, I see there was a mention of $1 million. I'll ask about there. Are we obligated to expend any Rock Valley College dollars for any part of this particular agreement, or we just be used by the consortium?
No, we be assisting them because they have a need. Remember we said the consortium was established to help with resource allocation for the people in DeKalb and Ogle counties, those 5 districts. The need is they want EMT offered, but they don't have, an instructor or a program. So that's why they reached across the aisle to us.
And so the students in DeKalb and Ogle would pay their tuition
To us, yes, through the consortium.
to the consortium?
Yes.
Do we get any share of that, or we just are
We
doing
charge
this?
$50 a student, as we do for other students. Yep, a $50 fee.
Okay.
Bob?
So the students go to Kishwaukee, do they take one class or a number of classes?
Well, the certificate consists of 9 credits, which is 3 classes.
3
So-
classes.
Yes.
And then they come
Well, it's not-
Finish up?
is if they want to, if they
they want
choose to. Remember I said they have the option of getting into the workforce if they so choose.
After
or
3 classes, they could get it.
after whatever level of profession or whatever level of career that affords them that they can, or they could continue on and take another certificate, or they could come to us and they could do the fire science AA degree, AAS degree if they choose to.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yes, it's a pathway model, it's stackable credentials, certificate.
Right,
You can
stackable
on-ramp, off-ramp, complete and work, and then come back. Thank
Any
you.
other questions? It's just a concern. It's a kind of a double-edged sword, or I don't know if it's the right, way of representing it, but I'm uncomfortable hiring really nice people for jobs that have no skills applied for the specific job. And I'm equally against highly trained people for specific jobs that meet all the job requirements that may have zero interpersonal skills. How do we control a well-trained, well-background person going through who's got zero interpersonal skills? Through this program only. And I'm not talking about anything else, okay? This particular program. So.
Through this particular program, part of our process of ensuring that there's quality is we do an observation where we go into the classroom and we observe the class and then are able to provide feedback. If the observation is deemed not acceptable, then we would work with them. And unfortunately, if we had to, then we would have to not continue this partnership in the future.
So this is after the fact, though?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
And we also have the opportunity to do professional development, which we do with all the instructors. So another safeguard mechanism too is the classroom observations and professional development too as well.
Well, and I'll just say this, for my own training, and going back 40 years, managers training and stuff, they're saying you can sometimes teach people the technical skills they need to get by, but you can almost never teach them the interpersonal skills to get by. So, Isaiah?
Yeah, I have a question about what you just said. So you're saying that as part of the program, if there's an instructor attached with this program, right, there's nothing we can do in terms of it's either we help the person to adapt or we cancel the program.
Well, let me say that it's a consortium agreement among institutions and professionals. So they have an understanding of the quality of instructors that represent Rock Valley College. So if the consortium, through the consortium, they were to continue to hire questionable professionals, then that would be the end of this partnership. We would not continue to move forward. But that hasn't been the case. This is not the first time we've had this consortium. No. It's just a renewal. Okay. And so Kishwaukee, like RVC, understands what type of professional we would want to have because they hire different professionals. And this is the consortium, but there's also other career agreements, cooperative agreements that community colleges have with one another where we send students for various programs. So there is an understanding of what type of professionals should be hired on behalf of each institution. But again, if this was something where we got stuck with a low performer, yes, we would have to do that. But that's the risk you have anytime you have a new hire and you try to figure out the onboarding, the observations, and you try not to make the same mistake twice.
Yeah, but also I think they came back because they liked what they got in the first place.
Right.
They would not come back if it was terrible. So.
Okay.
Crystal?
So, a couple things. Has there ever been an issue with this whole hiring, observing? Everything has always gone as
No,
so.
no, we have had challenges. Like, for instance, we have had instructors where we have done observations and there were some concerns about the quality of delivery. in terms of the content of what was being taught and stuff. And we provide a feedback mechanism. And to be fair to everybody, because everybody deserves an opportunity, chance to redeem themselves.
Sure.
And then we go back and we observe again and stuff. And if that was to reoccur, then we would take steps to be able to, have that person no longer teach for us and ask the high school for another qualified instructor who could teach the college class. So that's why I say we have those safeguard mechanisms. Like next month, we have all those instructors coming to the college to do professional development. That's important to us.
So what you're telling me is that you guys already have a goal or a plan in place for all the avenues that they have doubts
Yes,
of.
we have to, because the Dual
Yes,
Credit
okay.
Quality Act calls for it.
Sure.
It's mandatory. We must have classroom observations.
Absolutely.
We must do professional development.
Okay.
They must meet the minimum qualifications. There are things that we just have to do.
And I agree with you when they say they wouldn't come back if things were going.
Definitely.
And Amanda, are you the one observing the classes?
We would be the ones observing, yeah.
We like to have the content experts observe the classes, so
Which is
9
who?
times out of 10, it's the faculty themselves. Our faculty are going into so that they know how the content is being provided.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions on that? Thanks very much I want to thank you for the thorough answers. So thank you very much. And that was a great question, Crystal. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm going to combine the next two items because they're essentially the same agreement with two different institutions and two different dollar amounts, but the rest is the same. So what we're asking the trustees to do is approve sub-award agreements with Highland Community College and McHenry County College so that we can continue to administer our Strengthening Community Colleges grant. You may recall that we received this grant from the U.S. Department of Labor. We applied for this grant and were approved for this grant as a consortium with McHenry County College and Highland Community College as our consortium partners. And we are now at a point where we want to be able to reimburse our partners for the programs that they're providing. So we need an agreement to do so. The purpose of the Strengthening Community College grant is to support community colleges in developing workforce training programs that meet local and regional labor market demands. And as a consortium, we've agreed to focus on the advanced manufacturing pathways. Most of the grant dollars go to direct support for students. Some of it also goes to personnel at the 3 institutions, and a bit goes to equipment and supplies. It is a reimbursement grant. We have not yet paid any money to the consortium partners, but this next quarter we'll be wanting to provide them reimbursement for their staff and for also the direct support that they've offered to their students. And all of this funding comes from the U.S. Department of Labor grant. Are there any questions?
John?
Yes, anytime I hear U.S. anything, I wonder if is that grant still in existence, do you know?
Well, as far as we know, yes. We've been assured by our liaison that we should continue offering programs. As with any grant program, the agreements state that they're in effect as long as funding continues. So if funding were to be discontinued, then we would have to stop offering programs as well as our partners.
Okay, and your contact is who?
Her name is Barbara. We have a federal program officer who liaises between us and the U.S. Department. It's a multi-layered. Her name's Barbara Gibson, I think.
And she's a federal employee. Still employed?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We meet with her on a regular basis, and she is still employed.
Okay.
Bob?
Yes, so the total grant's 5.5.
Yes.
1 million goes there, 1 million goes there. 5 minus 1 is 3. Does that mean we keep 3?
Well, I mean, yes, 3 will go to supporting our students in our programs, paying their tuition, some equipment for us. We also do need to pay a third-party evaluator, which has come to the board for approval already, and also the AGS Prime so that we can track data for us. So, I mean, we're spending the money elsewhere, but.
So this is basically new money. So what new workforce programs are going to be put in?
It's supporting existing programs, but the innovative piece of it is we can support non-credit programs, so we can move people from non-credit to credit pathways and developing those pathways. And the other component is to work with additional employers and making sure that we're getting our students placed.
This was the grant that we announced last year
No, I understand.
through Senator Duckworth to try to align the workforce credit to the credit side of the house.
I'm just seeing this as new money over and above all the other monies we get. So if there's new money, what's the new program? Rather than just slosh it against what we're already doing. Understand?
Yeah, I understand. So far, we're supporting more students in existing programs.
It's the new initiatives that we've had in the last couple of years that we're now identifying grant money to sustain that growth. And then the newer initiative would be, for instance, non-credit CNC. We went from maybe 6 credits counting on the credit side of the house to 15 credits counting on the credit side of the house. So it's more of a developing articulated agreements that now students can get a job right away, and then when they're ready, they can enroll back at RBC, and those credits counts towards an associate's degree.
Yeah.
Okay. Mr. Chairman.
Wait, anybody else?
John?
I was trying to get to see if anybody else had anything before I got to you. And I might
Yeah,
just
no,
not let you recognize you, okay? I want to move on. I'm moving on. Go ahead.
Oh, thank you.
No, I'm moving on. Next item on the agenda, please.
I didn't say that, Mr. Chairman, by the way, so you better behave yourself. I'll have to
Okay,
do a
guys,
motion to overrule the chair.
Okay, guys, come on, get along here. Being recorded.
Troublemaker.
Going to
Informational.
informational only. Chair said to move on.
Okay.
Okay, yes, the final part of teaching, learning, and communications is the information only, which is included in your packet, was the RVC land acknowledgement. Are there any questions?
Is this required by anybody? Did somebody tell us to do this, or are we doing this out of the whatever?
I defer to Dr. Barnes.
No, it's not a requirement. It's a guide for our stakeholders so that if they choose to use it, that they follow proper protocol in honor of indigenous people. So it was something that our stakeholders asked for, and we wanted to create a guide on how to do it properly. So no, it's not a requirement or a mandate.
Any question on the land acknowledgement?
This was informational only?
Yes.
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. In other words, we're not voting on this in the next meeting? Okay.
Okay. Any other? Nope. Okay. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Finance discussion, board liaison, trustee Kadia, I'll take over. Hi, we have 3 purchase reports and a cash and investment report.
That is correct this evening.
All right.
All right, first, we have purchase report A, which is an FY25 amendment. This is for BP Roofing. It is an increase of $7,100 to $32,100. This is due to greater than expected roof repairs on the main campus during the year. So we had repairs on the Jacob Center for Science and Math, the Stenstrom Student Center, the Support Services Building, and the Woodward Technology Center. And these services included leak repair on 3 buildings, paver installation on the Support Services Building, and a retrofit drain repair on WTC, and as well as scheduled rooftop maintenance. Is there any questions on this purchase report?
Any questions? I'm going to go from left to right. No? Thank you very much.
All right, moving on to purchase report B, which is FY 2026 amendments. So the first one is for Instructure. That is an increase of $6,748.20 to $141,841.20. This increase is needed to cover the annual cost increase for the Canvas Cloud subscription service, as the exact renewal amount was unknown at the time for the June 2025 purchase reports. As a reminder, Canvas is our learning management system that provides online course and instructional support. The second item on this purchase report is to NILRC, or the Network of Illinois Learning Resources in Community Colleges. This is an increase of $2,000 to $36,000. This increase is to cover the annual cost increase. Again, the exact renewal amount was not known in time for the June purchase reports. And NILRC is the purchasing consortia from which the RVC Library purchases several databases and its membership. Are there any questions on this purchase report?
Left or right? Nothing?
I have a question.
Yeah.
For the Canvas increase, just out of curiosity, is that an increase that all colleges will see for Canvas, or is this an increase because we're offering more Canvas utility?
This was an annual increase.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions down the road here? Oh, okay,
All right.
thank you.
Purchase report C is FY26 purchases. The first item is Bob Riding's fleet sales for $134,094, and this is for 3 new 2025 Chrysler Pacifica Touring minivans. The college currently has 3 Ford Transit Connects, which have been used for employee and student travel. Feedback from those using those Connects is that has been negative due to the seating in the back of the vehicle. If you've ever ridden in one, you'd understand. The college has decided to replace them with the Chrysler Pacifica Touring minivans. The Ford Transit Connect vehicles will be redeployed to be used for facilities and maintenance and the IT department to replace older vehicles. Bid 25-12 minivans was the first attempt to seek competitive bids for this purchase. It received no responses. Bid 25-22 minivans rebid was opened on May 30th, 2025, and had 1 response from Bob Riding's Fleet Sales. This purchase includes delivery, transfer of titles, and registration, and a warranty of 3 years or 36,000 miles, as well as a warranty of 5 years or 60,000 on the powertrain. Is there any questions on this item?
Left or right? No. Nope.
All right.
Done? Anything? Just to say that, yeah, the transit vans will make better cargo vans than the air people movers. So, yeah.
Yes. The next item is P&H Electric for $577,500. This expense is for the first of 2-phase project to upgrade the fire alarm system across multiple buildings on the main campus to meet the current campus standard of Johnson Controls Simplex. Bid 25, or RFP 25-20 fire alarm upgrade was opened on June 25th, 2025, received 4 proposals. P&H Electric was the lowest responsive bidder, and this includes a 10% contingency and is not to exceed. The last item on this purchase report is to the City of Rockford for $26,132.40. This was discussed at the June board meeting. This is for the permits and new water service connection for the downtown West Campus. And so this includes the locations at 711 Green Street and 3111 South Winnebago Street. And this new service will connect each of the 2 downtown buildings to the city's water main. Are there any questions?
Questions? John?
Didn't we, I mean, we're approving the money, but didn't we already have to pay it to get the construction going?
Yes, we received consensus from the board at the June meeting to move forward to keep the project on time.
All right, thank you.
And is there anything else like this that, do we have a checklist for just, this kind of caught us off guard. Is there anything else? Looking ahead.
Looking ahead, we don't see anything that's going to be an issue. I was on vacation when this reared up, so I was a bit surprised that the city needed the money so quickly. That kind of caught everybody by surprise, and I'm still not exactly certain why they pushed so hard for us to get the money to them so soon. So this is not anything that is normal.
Okay, I believe Trustee Nelson brought up the point when it was raised last time that, you know, the city knows us. We're not going anywhere. They would have gotten, you know.
I agree.
Hey, John.
I happened to talk to, you know, we have a new park addition to our, at Alpine Meadows, and the guy from the Rockford Park District was saying that the city was charging him every day they had a trailer on the park, in the alley that, or the street that goes there. And so he was doing everything he could to minimize the cost. And I don't know why the city is so intent on maximizing these charges. But
They need the money.
I thought they were flush with cash with the casino or something, but Trustee Trojan?
They need the money.
Well, Bob, one hand washes the other, and the city's been asking for favors here.
This would have been a 6-week delay in that amount, really, because we would have been brought, today, and it would have been voted on.
Yeah.
So, but you don't expect anything else like this?
No.
All right. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Are we hooked up to the sewer?
This is water.
I know this is water, but the sewer is a different matter. And
Sewer, we are still waiting on a final approval. The individual to do that was on vacation last week, and apparently nobody else can approve it.
Well, could you just double check, and I say this kind of humorously, so we can plan for that payment? So
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
will.
I think, any other question on that? Okay, thank you.
All right, then we'll move on to the cash and investment report. I just want to point out that the cash and investment report was prepared as of June 27th in order to meet the reporting deadlines for the committee of the whole meeting. The report as of June 30th will be distributed at the July board meeting for your information. So as of June 27th, operating and cash investments had increased nearly $2 million from May to $105.7 million. This is due to the receipt of property tax distributions from the counties. The percent of operating cash and investments is at 103.91%. Working cash funds showed no change because interest has not been received as of June 27th, so you'll see an increase on the June 30th report. The capital funds increased $5.8 million to $79.4 due to the receipt of property taxes from the counties, plus transfers to capital for the CDB required funding for the roadway project of approximately $1.1 million, and the $3.3 million transfer from the ERC funds received to the athletic field projects. And then we had a debt service payment of $850,000, so we had a net increase. Are there any questions on this report?
Any questions? John?
are we in good shape?
Absolutely. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So operations discussion board liaison, Trustee Trojan.
And Mr. Jenks, please.
Thank you, Trustee Trojan. Good evening, Board. The first item on the list for tonight is the personnel report. As shown on the report, we have two instructors that will be starting. One is a business instructor. The other is a temporary math instructor who will be starting for the fall semester effective August 16th, 2025. We still have two additional positions that are being worked on being filled. That's a temporary English instructor and an economics instructor. And we also have two director positions that are being worked on right now to try and fill, and that is a director of nursing and a director of student life. Also, I want to note that you will be receiving a red line version regardless. We do have a departure that was just recently added. Dean Joseph Abeco, the Dean of College Readiness and Learner Support, tendered his resignation.
Any questions? John, I believe you had your hand raised.
Well, that was what I was going to ask, as well as when it says temporary, that means I would understand that that's an adjunct.
It's not an adjunct. It's a full-time position, but it is temporary in basis while it gives academics a chance to evaluate the position to see if they need it there or if they need a position somewhere else. Did I say that correctly, Dr. Smith?
All right.
Me? Okay. If there's no other questions, I want to bring up essentially a new topic regarding the personnel report. I'll hand it out. Thank you very much. I need to stretch my knees. So we're asked, the board is asked every month per board, well, first of all, the personnel report is created via policy 3:10.090, personnel reports. Human resources shall prepare and provide a personnel report at each regular monthly board meeting with the certain items that we regularly see on it. Then there's another policy, job posting and hiring, and I'll hand it out to you, that says in part of it, the president shall have the authority to approve new hires and assign employment start dates. But right after this is the board shall approve the personnel report at each regular board meeting via board report. Well, Robert's rules and parliamentary procedures strongly suggest that we just don't vote on overall reports because we're voting on every single item in there, the name, the title, the date, the value, which might be already negotiated due to bargaining agreements and the like, and then departures, resignations and retirements. And if we don't approve the report, what's the ramification? Actually, nothing. I mean, those people will still be hired. Those departures will still happen. So what I'm suggesting is that we strike the line from the policy, the board shall approve the personnel report at each regular board meeting via board report. And you will receive this at the next meeting for a first reading.
Yes.
Okay, so we hand this suggested policy out. One sheet is the policy with the strikeout. The other side of this sheet has the personnel report, which I'm not suggesting any.
Thank you.
And all this is doing is bringing us in line with Robert's rules, plus our role only to be hiring the president, our attorneys, and our auditor. And I didn't expect a long discussion on it today. We discussed it when it's actually formally on the agenda. I wanted to bring it up to give you a heads up to it so we could address this and fix it at our earliest possibility, because I believe there's confusion among staff and board members that if we actually don't approve this, that those hires won't go through. And that's not actually the case. But I don't want to have to go through a debate over that anytime in the near future, so I just like to strike that line. I wouldn't suggest doing away with the report. The report would still be given, and it would be presented along with the other updates and reports that appear on our agendas, like the FOIA report and the reports that we all give. So there'll be more discussion on it in the future, but I just wanted to make sure it was presented kind of formally today, but technically this isn't a first reading, so it would be coming up in the next meeting. Questions, Bob?
As far as I'm concerned, I will vote yes.
Okay. Any other comments? Okay, thank you very much. I don't have any other comments on the personnel report. Do you have any comment on it, since you give the personnel report?
No, whatever the board decides will be fine by me.
Okay. Really? The board shall approve a greater, bigger personnel report to keep Rick Jenks busy for at least 30 minutes at every meeting. Okay, we'll work on that one, okay?
Okay. So the next item is a update for the downtown campus. This particular update, well, first what I want to say about downtown is if you're not aware, the precast walls are being erected and have been erected at the downtown training center. So things are moving along down there, just for your information. But this particular report, what I wanted to do is, this is a complex project with a lot of funding and a lot of different areas where that funding is occurring. And so I wanted to come up with a form that I can present to you on a regular basis. Maybe we do it every 3 months or 2 months with the information about where things are being expended. Ann, can you go to the... Oh, that's all right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. So I've divided this up into the top 2 categories are RVC-related direct costs. In other words, we're paying the people direct or acquiring the information directly, which is our design teams, and our FF&E, which is furniture, fixture, and equipment. Those are not part of the cost of work and are responsible to RVC to acquire and to work through. And those items that are FF&E are up there for you. They're food service equipment. When I say both areas, that means also for the conference space and for the vendor space for the food vendor that would be in the location. Lab and equipment and tools is basically to outfit any labs, automotive lab, collision repair lab. Office furniture is pretty self-explanatory, and technology would be any computers, phones, other items. Those are all things that will be procured through Rock Valley College. The second item is also costs that we are trying to pay directly so that we do not incur an upcharge through the vendors. And those are basically large utility costs. As you can see, most of them have been acquired. The removal portions, a lot of them have taken place already. AT&T has actually taken place, but they just haven't billed us for some reason. The TSC is for material testing. This is a requirement that they be paid directly by us. They test all of the soil samples to make sure that everything is accurate and that the strength of the soil and other areas are able to support the buildings and the loads. The other items are the installation of the utilities, ComEd, and then of course the city of Rockford is also in there. The other items below that are actually the different bid packages. As you know, we went out for multiple bid packages, which we had to do to help with the lead time for many of the items. Bid package 3 specifically was for 2 long lead time items, which are your HVAC equipment and your electrical. Bid 1 was abatement, which has already been completed. We also have the extra SHPO costs in there from the need to do that report for them. Bid 2 was the demolition of the buildings, which is also complete. So those 2 packages are completed, but will be maintained on the list for reference so that you know where the money went. The other items then are all the additional bid packages and the different vendors. It is a complicated project, so it is difficult to keep track of everything, and I'm hoping that this report will help with that. Ultimately, there are 2 areas in the bid packages that still need to be bid. Those are highlighted in yellow. Those are the vehicle lifts, which are out to bid right now and is due July 30th. And then the landscaping bid will be going out in August for work to be done next spring. So those 2 items are out there. So the 6 items that are still out there are the 4 F and the vehicle lifts and the landscaping. We also have the contingency, the $2.2 million, and have a running total for the contingency, which currently stands at $85,000. I will continue to bring you the contingency every month so that you're aware of everything that's going on. But I was hoping that I would bring this to you every 3 months because it's going to be a little bit more involved to get all this information together for you, and might be a little difficult to do it on a monthly basis, but we could do it. We could do it quarterly if you'd like, or even every 2 months.
Quarterly is fine. Just bring us any fires sooner, okay?
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
I have a fire later on that I need to talk about, so.
Yeah, that's what I understand.
So.
And I don't consider that a fire either, so, I mean, it's going to be unexpected, but not really. But,
Right.
Okay.
So, and then I also noted at the bottom, the grant money. The grant money is there. It's an extra $2 million that we have for the project. I'm making a note of it, but I'm not keeping into the running totals. So you can always just take $2 million off of the running totals to know that that is the grant money. But I think if I try and incorporate it into all the numbers, it'll get too confusing. And I think this would be the best way to present the information.
Any questions? Yeah. Crystal?
I think this is great, and I want to say kudos to you and the team, whoever did this, because I think that makes these guys very, very, very happy. But I appreciate the efforts, and this actually breaks down very clear, and I think it's great, so I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bob?
So in summary, you're showing a total of 56.6 million, and you got a 2 million grant, which would take it down to 54 million?
Correct.
54?
Yes, correct. It's 50, correct you. It is 56.5. I think you said 56.4.
I'm sorry,
but
56.5.
yeah, that's what we're showing.
Minus the 2 would be 54.5.
54, yes.
And our budget number is 58?
Correct. But we also have the contingency in there, which I am trying very hard not to spend.
Right.
And I'm trying to get as many credits back as I can.
So if you don't spend that, then we're down to 52 million.
Well, we're going to spend some of it, but sure, yeah.
Don't say yes.
One thing that I want to note to the board is I have instructed the CMR and I've instructed all of the trades, even though we're into the bidding or past the bidding process, if there are areas where we can get credits because things have changed and processes have changed, we are working through that. We're working through a potentially large credit change order right now as it relates to some of the storm drainage. So we are continuing to try and figure out ways to reduce costs.
Reduce costs, yeah, that's good. Well, it looks like you're on good track.
I hope so.
Schedule-wise and money-wise, right?
Schedule, everything is on track with the schedule and everything is on track money-wise.
Better knock on that wood.
An Eskimo pie or a Klondike bar for every person that can save us some money. There you go.
Yeah, exactly.
The $2 million grant came from where?
It was it was 4 different areas. One was a demolition grant that was secured by Dr. Spearman through Representative Maurice West for the demolition, which has already occurred, but now that we have the money, we'll go back and request that payment. The other were e-vehicle construction and equipment costs, which was secured by Dr. Hanson Stewart for the e-vehicle portion of that. And we are going through and using that specifically for the e-vehicle portion of the building. And I believe that was two grants, correct?
Okay.
Yes, 2 grants. So there was a total of 3 grants.
Okay.
Two
Any other
for
questions?
e-vehicle, 1 for demolition.
Anything else?
And then totaled $2 million.
Yes, 2,500,000. Or $2,500,000, not 5.
2.5.
Big, there's a difference there.
Yes, there's a little difference there.
A little bit of a difference.
Okay. Thank you.
The next items then are, again, the change orders. The items that are asterisk are the newer items that they relate to. They're actually on the last page of the document, page 5. They relate to contaminated soils. Again, going back, we have TSC test the soils, and then we have to remove that soil and bring in new soil that's better suited to support the building. We've had to do, on 2 occasions, we've had to go over our allotted allowance. So there's a $2,670.41 one and a $2,473 one, oh, no, excuse me, sorry, a $4,416 one that's related to unsuitable soils. We are nearing the end of that, so I'm hoping that we won't see very many of those in the future. We also had, so ComEd made some changes, which I guess is their prerogative. And those changes required our electrical contractor to make some change for the new services, which was a $9,326 change order. We also had 2 hair dryers, excuse me.
Hair dryers.
Sorry, hand dryers that needed additional, or needed conduit ran to them that were missed. So that was a $2,473 one. So the Four Rivers Sanitation Authority IC permit variance, this is the one we've been trying to get. It's a complicated process, so rather than us do it, I had the CMR go through the process of doing that, and we're just going to reimburse them the $205 through credit change order for simplicity on the project. And then finally, the City of Rockford actually requires a control valve indicator that was missed on both buildings for the fire alarm. So we had to make a change order for $12,266.22. The total expenditures for change orders right now is $85,590.71. Does anybody have any questions on the change orders?
Well, if you need money for the hair dryer venting for our hairstyling nail tech certificate program, let us know.
I will do that.
I appreciate it. Any questions? Okay, thanks very much.
So the next item on the agenda then is other change orders related to other projects, because we do have a few of those that are going on right now. The first one is for the HSC. I was waiting to see if, okay. So for the HSC, we have a couple of change orders. The first one is actually a credit of $1,007. That was for, we found some areas where we didn't need some wood paneling, so we were able to remove that from the cost. The second item is some plumbing chaseway. When they got into the walls, they found out that there was something that was blocking basically the mounting of the toilet on the wall, so we had to switch to a floor mount, which changes the plumbing, and we had to go through and get a change order for $1,072 to make that modification. And finally, we wanted additional for ADA compliance. We found out that there was not an additional handrail at the rear of the elevator cab that's being installed, so we asked for an addition of a handrail on the back, so we have handrails on all 3 sides. That was for $440. Any questions on the HSC project? We still have $203,095 in contingency money available.
We're doing okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Question? John, question? Anything?
One thing I will update you on for the Health Science Center is we are running into lead time issues with the HVAC, and so we may not be done by the end of, or by the beginning of the semester, and it may be more like September. Not making me happy, but there's not much I can do about it.
Is it going to affect programming there?
We're just going to have to move people very quickly. We're going to have to do it maybe over a weekend or something along those lines. We'll adapt. We'll make it so that it doesn't impact students as much as humanly possible. The second item is for the JCSM generator. This is actually a closeout for that. We had $5,935.90 left, so we're getting that back from the original project and from the vendor. So that one is a credit back to us. The next one is the power shed construction, which is also nearing completion. This one is actually, we are getting $33,767 back. I would like to note that our original contingency was 30,000, so we're actually getting more money back because we had gotten additional credits back from them when we went through the process of reevaluating the project even after the award.
Okay. Any questions?
The final one is the security project upgrade. This one basically, the first item is just a change of the substantial completion date. We moved it from June 1st to August 1st, so that's zero cost, but it is technically a change order. The second item is we found a fire-rated door that had too many holes in it to meet the fire code, so we had to buy a new slab in order to put the new lock on it and meet all the fire code regulations for NFPA, or National Fire Protection Act.
Any questions? Thank you.
The final item that I have for this evening is the events calendar. It's in your packet for you to review. There are a couple items that I would like to point out. One being on July 11th, we have the Smart Camp end of week celebration at the ATC. That'd be basically the graduation ceremony for the individuals who are going through the Smart Camp. I've been to a couple of them. They're very great. They're a great little ceremony. I recommend anybody who can be there to be there. The second item that I want to bring up is we have multiple new student welcome events coming up. We had one today, and we'll have another one on July 24th. Those items are for welcoming the new students and are put on by Dr. Pyer's area. So I wanted to mention that. And of course, I have to mention the robotics competition. That will be July 26th in the PEC. I know that there's a particular trustee who will be there, and I hope others can also join.
I wonder where that was.
I will be there along with 32 robotics teams from the greater Midwest area, competing all day long, starting at 8:30 until 5:30, except for a half an hour break for lunchtime. And I encourage you all to come out and walk around and listen to all the noise that goes on.
It is very loud, I will tell you, I will say that. Is any other questions on the event?
Questions on that? Hearing none, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're coming up on unfinished new business, and I want to apologize. My allergies are kicking in. I was rubbing my eyes, might have got a thumbprint on my glass. Did I miss or not acknowledge any trustee that had something to say, wanted to speak to an item earlier in the meeting?
He isn't here either.
No, I heard him. I was going to be complimentary, but I was cut off, so I can live with that.
Well, no, if you're going to be complimentary, uncharacteristically complimentary, go ahead.
Paul, I was cut off. I can live with it.
Time is gone.
All right.
Time is gone, right, John?
Yeah.
Second
Anyway,
chance.
congratulations for whatever reason I was thinking.
Unfinished business, new business?
Start with, yes, we have unfinished business. Let's start with Ellen as our CFO to speak about the bonds update. And then after that unfinished business, we'll have Rick return and speak to the tuck pointing.
Okay. So regarding the bonds, we completed our sale. It was completed on yesterday, June 7th or July 7th. We received 14 bids. The difference between the lowest and highest bid was 14 basis points or 0.14%. So all bids came in fairly close. At the January presentation to the board, the estimate of true interest cost was projected at 3.51%. Actual is 3.0%. Reduction in debt service obligations due to these bids is $1.132 million. So we will be saving the taxpayers some money.
Good.
And our last debt service payment will be on January 1st of 2033. So we did have a successful bond sale, and we'll close at the end of, towards the end of the end of July.
Good.
And we've already done all the authorizations and votes for it, but you still need 2 signatures on it, right?
So we'll be receiving, it's a book
Right.
that requires multiple signatures of the board chair and the board secretary and myself.
Okay. So, and I was been advised or warned or both that it's supposed to arrive here Thursday sometime?
Yes, I'm supposed to receive it on Thursday, the 10th, and then I have to return it, and they have to have it in hand back on the 17th.
So Friday morning I'll come in. Should I come to your office and do my signature?
We'll meet over at Building E.
Building E?
Yes.
Okay, all right, okay,
Thank you.
okay. And Jenna, please make arrangements, so. All right. Question, Bob.
So if I remember right, to pay for the bonds, we're going to keep our present payout of 12 million for a longer period rather than increase the payments and therefore raise tax.
Right, so the graph will look, it's about 14 million actually.
14, okay.
But the 14 million will be the same every year for all of the bonds in total. And then our last payment is just going to drop like a rock.
Yeah, but I mean, we will not be raising our tax rate to pay for this bond issue.
No, we will not.
We're not raising, I mean, that's where it's got to come from.
Correct.
But we're not doing that because we're extending the payout period.
Correct.
That's the important point to make.
Thank you.
Thank you.
John, you can congratulate him now if you want. It's okay.
Good work.
Anything else from Ellen?
Not on the bonds.
So Rick, give us some news.
Yeah, good news, Rick, good news.
Do you have that PowerPoint? Oh.
Rick had a sample of bricks that he was going to throw at one of us. So.
I had a, it might be in your email if you can get to it. I had a PowerPoint with some
Thank
pictures. But I'll explain. So I believe in May, the board approved Mike Harris Masonry to do what's called tuck pointing on the campus. I'll explain a little bit what tuck pointing is for those who may not know. We have a lot of rock fascia and rock, fascia at the campus. And there's mortar that holds all that in place. And so when you go through and you do tuck pointing, anywhere where there's a crack or a break in that mortar, you chisel it out and you redo the mortar so that it rebonds the rock to the mortar and secures the face of the wall back together. When we did the bid, we were concerned about the Student Center Bridge. And if you recall, I'd asked for, I think it was 20% contingency because we were a little worried about that area. Since then, we have explored those areas, and what has occurred is so the bridge itself is in the center, and then on either side of the bridge, there are what we call turrets. They're little jut-outs, rock jut-outs. One has steps in it, and the other one's just like a lookout on the other side. We have those 4 turrets. The bridge in the center structurally is fine. I want to say that first and foremost. It's supported by some concrete pillars, and it's not going to go anywhere. We did briefly have to shut everything down until we got a structural engineer out here to look at it. Once the structural engineer looked at it, he said we could reopen the bridge. So why did I close the bridge? I closed the bridge because the turrets started to fall apart, for lack of a better way of describing it. So when they were working on removing some of the mortar, you can occasionally get a rock or two that might fall. 3 of the turrets, that's what was occurring. But the 4th turret, we had bigger issues. The rocks were pulling away from the surface, and we had much larger cracks. So there was some concern about that. The structural engineers came out, looked at it, and said, we need to do some examination of this area to find out what's going on. During the course of doing those examinations and looking at it, the face of the wall collapsed about 10, maybe 20, maybe 20 square feet of the wall simply collapsed and fell to the ground. Fortunately, the masons who were working on it were in lifts, and they had done that without scaffolding because they were concerned of a potential failure. That potential failure happened, but fortunately, because of some preliminary thoughts, nobody was injured. So that's a good thing. So that area, it's an area that protrudes out in a U shape. We call it turrets because it looks like kind of a turret on a castle. That outer U shape is, on this particular wall, is falling away. We have also discovered, because we don't have any original drawings for the bridge, which was built, we believe, in 1968, that bridge is built, it's called a rubble wall. They don't really make them anymore. It's an outside mortared wall, an inside mortared wall, and basically rubble and mortar in between, and it's a rubble wall. So there's no interior support for the wall. If those rubble walls are maintained, they can last for a very long time. This particular one lasted about 60 years. But if they get water inside of them, they can crumble. And that's what has occurred on this particular turret. And to fix it, we have to figure out how we're going to fix it. The general consensus is we're going to have to take the entire turret down, literally deconstruct it all the way down to the foundation and then build it back up. The debate is how we're going to build it back up. We are probably not going to build another rubble wall. We're probably going to build it by today's standards. That being said, I don't know how much that's going to cost because I can't get a price until we know exactly how we're going to rebuild it. But it will probably exceed the amount that is allowed for a, quote, change order under ICCB regulations. So what will more than likely happen is I will have to rebid, or I guess first bid, the reconstruction of that turret. And in order to pay for it, Ellen has a idea to pay for it, whatever the price may end up being, which when I know, you guys will know. So I did have some pictures, but it's all right. If you want to look at it, it's right over there, and just don't go past don't go past the barricades because the turrets are unstable. The bridge is still open. The structural engineers have assured me that the bridge is fine. Students can still walk on it. We just have an area closest to the student center where the wall collapsed that is completely shut off, so nobody can get near the rocks or be injured should an additional collapse occur.
Is there any chance this natural rock slide will bring like flora and fauna and animals there, so it could be like a natural landscape type of thing? No, I know.
Anything's possible.
It sounds like it's large aggregate. There was this holding up everything, and it got moisture in there, and it just fell apart.
Basically.
Pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah.
God.
That's like people used to putting lead in pipes and stuff. Short side. All right.
The symbol of the college, so we'll get it fixed, right?
It's very iconic to the college, so I assume, I could just remove it and make it,
You're going to bring to us the option.
Yeah, I can bring you an option of just removing the turrets.
Well, I would do both. You're going to do to fix it, replace it, rather.
So what I've requested is, because they're looking to see whether or not, it's a little complicated, but how far down they can go, because the base is better than up higher. Up higher has more issues with it. So they're looking at the potential of coming down to a certain point and rebuilding the wall off of the existing foundation, say 10 feet up. We're getting a price for that, and I'm getting a price for removing it all and replacing it. They're still doing some calculations, so the first option may not even be available. We may end up having to go with the second option. The structural engineers are looking at it, and we're actually having to use some from Colorado because some of the structural engineers around here don't have experience with rubble walls, excuse me.
But for the record, we're not looking at replacing the turrets altogether. There's this option of foundation or halfway.
Right, I was joking a little bit. So we're going to, it's only one turret, so it would look odd if we didn't replace the turret, and we had 3 turrets and one that wasn't.
And where's the hairdryer going?
Oh, that's downtown campus.
All right. Any questions on that? Essentially, he's just giving us a report saying he's going to report on it later.
Right.
Correct.
And
Once I have more
is this going to be it for that area? Or we got more bad news to come?
Well, we've just started the tuck pointing process, and we've already discovered this issue. So the potential does exist that there could be other areas, but the other areas are definitely fascia because they're on the buildings. So the likelihood of it being a rubble wall and falling apart like this is very, very, very low.
Was the rubber wall in the architectural plans, or?
We found the drawings for the student center, and the drawings say, see this page for details on the bridge, and nobody's been able to find that. We even contacted Schulstrom Construction, who we believe was the original constructor of it, and they don't have it, and they looked in their old records room, so.
All right.
Any other questions? Nothing? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other old or?
We have new business, and we'll hand it back over to Ellen.
Oh, boy.
So typically, Rock Valley College does not receive grant funds up front. We receive them on a reimbursement basis. However, the college received 2 grants up front from the state of Illinois, and we will need to return to the state of Illinois the unused funds. The first one is a CTE culinary grant for $500,000. We did not use any of that. And the second one is the CTE enrichment grant, and we're going to return approximately $359,000. The CTE enrichment grant was used for Smart Camp. However, the college had many different sources for paying for Smart Camp, and we were unable to use all of the funds before the end of the fiscal year.
Now, originally they thought that we were going to expand that grant, but for a reason he couldn't make it happen for this year. So that's what that.
The culinary one or the?
No.
No, the one for Smart Camp.
Smart Camp.
Was the culinary one connected with the building from the, is that?
The culinary was.
With our closed session discussions of a property?
Yes.
Well, what I mean.
No, and that's fine. We can say,
Yeah.
So.
I didn't realize we had.
So that one was, somebody was very excited and provided us that dollar amount and we didn't request it. And then when we went through to identify it, it didn't work out. And so we had to give it back versus trying to use it for unintended purpose.
Did you already give it back?
We will be giving it, we have 45 days after the fiscal year end to return it, so we'll be returning it before the end of July.
I didn't realize that we
Any
got.
chance you can use it for stone-baked pizza ovens for the turrets there?
Unfortunately, I don't think so.
Rubble stone-baked pizza ovens built into the wall.
Great idea.
And well, we have a pizza vendor.
So first of all, I didn't realize we received $500,000.
Yes.
Was that disclosed?
Yes.
It was.
Yes, that's not new information.
Okay.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Okay, so secondly is how much excess on the Smart Camp?
Approximately $359,000.
359,000.
Yes.
But we had other grants that were spending down the money.
No, I understand, but gee whiz, it's a shame we couldn't have had more Smart Camps or something.
Or more kids.
Or more, well, that's what I mean, more kids,
scholarships or
whatever. To give it away, give it back.
Do you still think the program as we had it is successful and that we just wound up with more money that we could really manage?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, for example, is there a machine tool show going on this September? I know it's kind of, I don't recall, but get a bunch of kids and put them on a bus and take them down to Chicago and have them walk around and see the machine tools that could be potential students for us in our manufacturing, as an example. I mean, things like that, to use up some of that money rather than just give it all back.
Could that money be used for, sorry, intergovernmental agreements with somebody? Not like I want to help the city of Rockford use our old the District 205 use our old property on Samuelson, but any chance we could partner with them with anything in there?
I think, yeah. I would be shocked if we didn't have to go through some procedure to change, amend the grant. Now, we have a possible good friend who might have been able to do that, but, not after the fact.
Yeah, I know. Plus, I don't know how excited I'd be about it, but I was just trying to figure out a way.
All right, look into that.
Fine. All right, thank you.
The last thing regarding new business, I'm going to have Jennifer provide the trustees with our CTE view books as part of our career pathway initiative. And so you will notice the view books have non-credit and credit opportunities in there. It's more of a recruitment tool and make sure the community is aware of the great initiatives that we have under workforce development and career technical education. Yes. Oh, yep. Directly impacting the career pathways is one of the goals under the president. And so it directly impacts those goals as well. Feel free to use them. Feel free to hand them out. If you need additional, please let us know. And that would end our other business section.
Does anybody have any questions on this newly presented information? All right, so now they're unfinished or new?
That's
Okay.
a lot, right?
What?
That was a lot, huh?
Yeah, well, we kind of longer than I thought today. So I would entertain a motion to adjourn to closed session to discuss, one, the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees, specific individuals who serve as independent contractors in a park, recreational, or educational setting per Section 2, C1 and/or 2, the purchase or lease of real property for the use of a public body per Section 2, C5, all in accordance with the Illinois Open Meetings Act. Do I hear a motion?
So moved.
Moved by Nelson, seconded by Trojan. Roll call vote.
Nelson,
Yes.
Trojan,
Yep.
Goldsmith, yes. Blake,
Yes.
Salto,
Yes.
Gorski,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right. For the close, it'd just be
Attorney Matt Gardner and Ann Kerwitz.
Yep. And yourself. Doors are open. I'd like to come back into open session. I'd like to say nothing was decided. Quite frankly, nothing was decided. But thank you very much for your participation in closed session. Oh, I don't even have it. So could somebody read? I folded it up already. So, oh, I broke it. Our next meeting. Dang it.
Let's look at the yellow sheets. Give them the yellow sheet.
Okay, just give me the copy. Sorry. Folded it up already. Our next regular Board of Trustees meeting is July 22nd, 2025 at 5:15. The meeting will be held in the Performing Arts Room, PAR 0214, in the Educational Resource Center, ERC, at the main campus. Also, the next Committee of the Whole meeting, August 12th, 2025 at 5:15 p.m. The meeting will be held in the Performing Arts Center, PAR 0214, in the Educational Resource Center, ERC, on the main campus. I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Trojan, second by Nelson. Roll call.
Nelson.
Yes.
Trojan.
Yes.
Goldsmith, yes. Blake.
Yes.
Salto.
Yes.
Gorski.
No.
Motion carries anyway.
Thank you for reminding me.
Motion carries anyway.
Oh, I'm Crystal. Nice to meet you.